Hello and welcome to episode 221 of This Week at Gear Report. It's for the 10th of October, 2024. And we're going to have an interesting program for you tonight. We'll cover the trip Jose Juan and I went to the Iraq Veteran 8888 Range Day, which, we'd both been to it several times before. And boy, things were different this time. So I will tell you all about that. We'll get to that shortly. We've got, I think, 3 different pieces of content here that we're going to go over as well that were published. Let's see. I'm going to, I'll tell you what, I'm going to bring Kevin back on the screen because he was having some audio problems. Can you hear me now, Kevin? Yes. I could hear him before he couldn't hear me. You can?
Hello.
That's a yes. All right. Awesome. Sounds like we're back up and running. You are looking super pixelated. So I don't know what's going on with your camera.
I think it's internet.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Or one of the cats walked on your keyboard internet and changed all the settings. They reprogrammed it while you were out playing Army. Out of
pretty
spite.
Much, yeah. Pretty much.
Cats would do that.
Yeah.
So, how about this? I'm going to take us both off the screen for a second so everyone can see what our thumbnail was for this week. And when we come back, I want you to tell us about it, okay? So I'm going to pull us both off here. Let's see. All right. I have the sneaky suspicion you're familiar with that, and we'll have something to talk about. But I'm not hearing
Yes,
Kevin.
Indeed.
Okay, there he is. Good.
Yes, indeed, man. Life has been pretty good. I did get hit really hard with that hurricane, though.
Really? The one just yesterday? Or the one before?
This last hurricane. We had our power out for 10 days, and we had no internet. I still don't have like solid hardline internet yet. I'm running off my cell phone.
Okay, well that's what it is then. Yeah, so that would have been the Helene that came up through Georgia and hit North Carolina and Tennessee real bad. And I was asking if the one yesterday hit you, because TJ and some of my other friends down in Florida got smacked around by a big hurricane yesterday. So we'll bear with Kevin if he fades in and out, because we know he's got this internet issue thing happening. Looks like he's trying to join again down there. Let's see. G-Webs asked about the IV8888 event. Do they use any radios at the event? Not many, really. I think that like some of the staff, like Eric, probably had one. And all right, he's back. Like Eric and Brandy, and
yes,
I think
indeed.
a couple people, Chris, the owner of the facility, they probably all had radios. And I know the RSOs had some radios so they could pass messages back and forth. But, at a range event, radios are only so useful when it's so loud that you can't hear the radios. Yeah. But they did have some handhelds. I know G-Webs, I think I saw he posted some radio deals for the big Amazon Prime Day, big Prime Day, whatever they called it. The last couple days, he posted something with a bunch of radios on it that looked pretty interesting. Coolest vehicle at the event. We didn't take, this is the first time I've been to that event in years where I didn't have at least one Humvee with me. Typically, the Gear Report team rolls in with a big military command tent and at least one, usually 2 decked out Humvees. And this time, we didn't have anything. We didn't have the tent. They wouldn't let us set the tent up and camp anymore. And because of that, we didn't bring any Humvees. So it was a quick trip this time. So there was one old Humvee out in the parking lot, and that was really like the only cool vehicle That event typically would have several different military vehicles. We'd bring some, other people would bring them. Not this year, but we'll get to that event and talking about what it was and what it wasn't. The gun snob decided not to make that drive straight across the country to get to the event and join us there. Do you know why he didn't make the drive straight across the country, Kevin?
I don't. Why is that?
It's the obvious answer. He's so gay he can't drive straight. Yep. And that's
Oh
not me
man.
saying that. Like his wife.
Oh man.
Do you know the story of that a few years ago he showed up at the Iraq veteran event and he had driven from Oklahoma to Western North Carolina and picked up Sarge from C4 Defense. And while he was picking
Sure.
him up, realized that his wife had swapped out the surround on his license plate. She had taken his license plate screws out and then put this thing around it and screwed it back in that said, "I'm so gay, I can't drive straight." And he had driven from
That's funny.
Oklahoma all the way to North Carolina with that. And he said people kept waving and honking and stuff, and I didn't understand why. Yeah, that
That's
was well
hilarious.
done. Well done for Snark's
Hilarious.
wife. Yeah.
Well, if you wanna throw that photo back up, I'll talk about that kick-ass weapon for a second. That is
Well,
pretty cool.
but we don't call them weapons unless you're actually shooting people with them. This
This
isn't the
this
army.
this 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 firearm
That works. Yeah. Well, I
this
mean, you
firearm from
understand.
well, it's an other. It's an other
For
actually.
people who wanna politicize
So
everything and turn everything into a evil weapon, like, this is a defense tool, unless I'm using it aggressively against
right.
someone, and then it's a weapon, but anyhow. So what do we have there?
So this other, it's a hand crank Gatling gun, chambered in 9mm, right? It's fed with Glock magazines. You see
Right.
that top
Yep.
feeding reservoir there, right? That's where your Glock
Mhm.
magazines will go in. You can put your 33 round mags or your drum mags in there. It's got 16-inch barrels on it, right? It weighs 76 pounds.
Jeez.
So I mean it's a bit of a heavy beast, but there's no tax stamp required, right? It's classified as an other. You have to
Uh,
have an FFL obviously to transfer it, but still pretty cool.
I thought it was
And you can
exceedingly
essentially
cool.
crank out shots. Yeah, you can essentially get shots out of this just as fast as your hand can crank that handle.
I feel really bad. I was gonna go back and do it again. I did 2 mags through it, and one of the mags had issues, and the guy working the line said, "Yeah, we're finding it doesn't like these KCI 30-round mags." But it liked the shorter Glock mags. So, um, but I was trying to it has an elevation adjustment wheel at the back, and you can turn it, you can pivot it right to left, you can adjust it up or down. I was actually trying to get it on a target so then I could crank it fast and have it like knock hold it's a spring-loaded popper. I wanted to hit it with enough rounds that it held it back at an angle for a while. I thought that'd be a really cool video. I was trying to get it dialed in on that target and was cranking slow, and then a line had formed behind me and I was like, crap, I done 2 mags, I can't do another one, and I didn't even get to crank it fast. And then Jose Juan shot this one, and it had the 22 one is back behind it. You see right there, that's when it shoots 22, and you see Jose taking a picture of it there actually, but he just cranked it like crazy, and I was like, oh, that's what I should have done. But
Sure.
I mean,
Sure,
70
sure.
something pounds shooting a little 9mm, you couldn't feel anything. Like I was cranking, I heard the faint pop, 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 and wasn't even sure it was firing because I wasn't hitting, like I didn't know where. They had it set up at a safe spot on the range. I don't want to say I didn't know where I was shooting. I was shooting into a safe area on a live active shooting range, but I wasn't hitting a specific target. And it took a couple shots before I realized, no, it is absolutely firing. but with that much mass, like there was zero recoil. Um,
Yeah.
which kind of like I
They're
don't want to
pretty
I want to compare it to a minigun.
they're pretty fun.
Yeah, I it was something else, and those were I think maybe the two most popular guns on the range. I mean, people wanted to shoot the saws. There were M60s, there were 249s. They were all. I mean, this event's got so many different cool options available for you to go try out on the line. But those, like everyone there, made a point of coming down and shooting those. Yeah, those were pretty
Nice.
awesome.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, I was
Yep,
pretty
they're a lot of
happy.
fun. I've got the 9mm version. I also have the 22-bit version, the gold, like brass version that
Hmm.
10 Ordnance builds. I have all
Yeah,
of them up on my website at suppressorman.com.
yeah, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Those are exceedingly cool. And man, I wish I could get that to be slightly larger on that screen. But there was just a little walk around for you while the range was cold. Um, you put the camera in front of it when the range is cold, you know. That'll be up on the GearReport site at some point. But anyhow, I thought that'd be a good way to get started talking about the Iraq Veteran event. Was potentially the coolest item there. I really, really enjoyed playing with that, and I think that's something that I don't know if it's fair to say every household should have one, but I'm really struggling to come up with the reason why they shouldn't. You know what I mean? So maybe every house should have one, especially something like this with all the brass bits on it. Like it's heirloom quality. It just looked amazing. It was fun to shoot. Because it had the elevation and the windage that you kind of lock in. It was um, fairly safe, I think. And it looks like we lost Kevin again. I'm going to leave it and let him see if he can reconnect. Well, you know what? I'll bring him back if he makes it back in. And I'm getting messages from him here. Yeah, so because of the hurricane a week and a half ago, his signal is still not great. So anyhow, that was so we'll go through a couple things about that event real quick. You can see that's Jay and Jose Juan, and we'll have to see if we can find Jay's wife was wandering around. There's Eric with Jose Juan and or Jose Juan with Eric. I thought this was that famous little Mosin that Eric has did videos on years ago on the Iraq Veteran channel that he had out there. Yeah, I meant to shoot that and I just didn't. There's Eric talking to Kevin from Site Mark Pulsar. Um, little look at how the range looked for the event. That's Jose Juan there. Yep. So really, really interesting event. There it is. There's Jay's wife with the GearReport shirt on. So lots of cool people there. I made sure to do my hair for this event because why not? You know, but it confused a number of people. I have developed a habit when I take this to events, and you know people don't realize that the nearly bald guy they're used to seeing has a full head of hair. Like something's not right, and it's crazy how many people like don't recognize it's me or think it's real hair. Like, how did you get that? I thought you were bald before. Really kind of interesting. We shot a lot of videos that you will see on the GearReport channel here shortly once I get those edited with lots of different cool products. And we kind of made almost a day trip out of it. Here's something that I feel bad about sometimes when I go to do an interview and the other person just comes up to about nipple height or so, and that feels a little bit awkward. So I don't know. What do you think? Should I even be conscious of that? Should I sit down beside someone to do an interview so that we're at closer to eye level? I don't know. We saw these 3D printed suppressors that I wonder, that one's already cut in half. We had I had a couple of them that failed while I was shooting them. That's a whole nother story. There's Joe up from Florida. The Godfather suppressors, Mike Pappas, he was there. Always fun talking to him. There's TJ shooting the new Stoker pistols. We'll have some videos up on that here shortly. This was kind of funny that they had the binary targets out on the range, and you may have seen a hay bale out there that just stayed smoldering all day with smoke going. So that was a little bit interesting. One of the guys, who was he with? I think he was there with the King of Camo. Had this Humvee there, so that was kind of interesting. It was like nothing had been done to it. All right, I'm going to stop going through those for now. Why don't we take a break from this? We'll come back and talk about that event a little bit more in a bit. I want to show off this hat. This hat, it's a standard hat, but they embroidered GearReport.com on the back. And on the front, this is a patch. It's a leather patch that they custom printed the Gear Report logo on. And I got this off of Amazon. So you can pick a round patch, a square patch. They can embroider a whole lot of options for how they can do these for you. But I wanted to show this to you because that is one of the coolest items I've ever gotten. I'm a sucker for anything that someone puts Gear Report on, but look at this. It turned out absolutely wonderful with that kind of gray man color within the silver and black on the patch with the Gear Report logo, and then the embroidery on the back. And it's the type where it gets you some good ventilation up here, which I really like. It's a shame that it arrived like on Monday after I got back from the Iraq Veteran Range event. I would have loved to have worn it there to show it off. I'll probably take it to SHOT Show later. But anyhow, check it out. I'll put a link in the description for how you can go find these on Amazon. But super simple upload. Actually, they sent me an email and said, send us the artwork you'd like to put on the patch. I sent them the little PNG file of the Gear Report logo. And then, probably a week and a half, 2 weeks later, this shows up at the house already custom embroidered with the patch on it and everything. And looks good, feels pretty good wearing it. I'm pretty happy. So let's see. Let's move back to the other screen now, and we'll go through some of the freshly published articles. We're going to have only 3. Make sure I'm not missing something here. Yeah, I think Kevin has given up trying to get back because his cell service is not going to support that. TJ down in Florida, last I heard, they still didn't have power, so we're not going to see him. I'd be surprised if anyone else joins us for the program on the panel this evening. But so let's go through some of these 3 that were recently published. You remember the Warhammer TJ talked about, I think it was last week or week before last. So now we're going to talk about the Warbird, Dead Space safety glasses, the Break Arms handguard, and then a laptop that's got some special features. Let's start with that one. This is one from Toby where he had requested to be able to publish some more tech and cybersecurity type products. And you can tell 4.5 out of 5 gears, he really likes this like pro quality laptop that's got some additional features that you don't find in a typical laptop. He's got all the different options and specs listed out in here. So if you are looking for like a real powerhouse of a fast, capable, with lots of different connectivity options type laptop to do your cybersecurity stuff, maybe you want to come check this out. Go have a look at it. They call it the Darter Pro 10, and let's see, is that correct? From System 76, it looks like. You can come read all about it and see, Toby is definitely a hardcore, like, IT professional type person. If he gave it 4.5 stars, then it is clearly a pretty stout laptop with a lot of capabilities. So I'll drop that in the chat. If anyone wants to go check that review out, you're welcome to go check that out. Let's see, from TJ, Break Arms, their RG2S M-Lock handguard. And it's interesting. I didn't really know a lot about Break Arms. I know AJ has reviewed some of their stuff. TJ's reviewed some of their stuff. But then when we were at the Iraq Veteran event, I heard a couple brands talk about, oh, well, we've got the new Break Arms handguard on this. So apparently, well, and the charging handle, I saw someone had, I think it was Anderson that is using a Break Arms charging handle on their Defender line, if I'm not mistaken. Their new kind of duty weapon. So, yeah, so definitely go check them out. This one from TJ got 4 out of 5 gears, which is a very strong rating on an AR handguard. And he really liked the way that they secure it. It's got this little oh, I'm blanking on what they called it, how they clamp it down. It's got a special little a torsion block that they use to clamp it onto the barrel nut, basically. But the big deal is it's made with the appropriate diameter. It is meant to be put over a suppressor, to cover a suppressor up. So that's the idea. A lot of people have who 10 years ago would have never thought they'd own a suppressor because, like, what, they're not an assassin or a sniper or something. But now they have them because they don't want to go deaf and they like to protect their hearing. So now you can also protect your hands by having the suppressor hidden under the handguard. So you can check out his pros and cons and read the full review there on the Gear Report website. And I'm also going to drop the link to that article in the chat. So if anyone would like to check that out, please go check it out. Aluminum handguards, man, you pick what looks nice, pick what fits the kind of accessories you want to put on and how you want to use it. There's so many options today. It's not even funny. Moving on to the last of the published reviews for today. For the last week, Warbird is the company Dead Space safety glasses. And they've got a couple interesting features. You can see one of them in these pictures here, and that is a little bit of vent space at the top to let the moisture vent off of the glasses so they don't get fogged up. And if you read this, it only got a 3 out of 5, which is still a pretty decent rating. We're used to seeing higher ratings sometimes, but 3 out of 5 is not bad. I think if we go down to the cons on these, they're safety glasses, but they're also sunglasses. AJ really liked the side shields, which he was saying to block light out so you don't get reflections off the back. I think as safety glasses, it's probably more important to block things from getting up behind the glasses and into your eye. But he really liked all that side protection. I want clear on the sides so it doesn't take my peripheral vision away. Like any kind of glasses or sunglasses that have a thick earpiece that comes back, if it's thick enough and sits in the place where it's going to block my peripheral vision, then I absolutely can't stand it. These look a little bit opaque, so I wouldn't like the opaque ones. If they make them with a clear side so you can still see and catch movement out of the side of your eye, then that would be good for me. But really cool looking lenses, and as dark as they look, they still seem to do pretty good going from super bright to not as bright environments. So that is Warbird. Is a company I was not familiar with. I heard about them at SHOT Show, and I got some emails right after SHOT. If you want to go check this article out, that is in the chat as well. So that was pretty quick, man. We really blew through the recent reviews. I forgot to put the banner up. And let's get the ticker up there because we are powered by Sylvan Arms. We'd like to thank them for making it possible for us to do this show every Thursday, most every Thursday at 9 p.m. I do apologize. We did not go live last week because I was getting ready to go to the Iraq Veteran event and really just kind of ran out of time. So I apologize for missing that. Let's get this off the screen And actually, I want that back up. We'll bring that down and pull all of these images and videos back up and go through them a little bit more here. Now, I saw not as many as most years, lots of cool different things here. I thought that looked pretty cool the way they had it up on that. That's a 9x39. Um, I think that one was an AK. They had several different rifles set up in that caliber. They're really trying to push that as being like a more suppressor friendly, um, large, lots of mass round, going at a slower speed, but carrying more energy into the target. So we'll see if that catches on and goes anywhere. But this one, I haven't had a fanboy moment in a while. But I watch this guy's videos with the mask. I think it's PRS is what he calls himself. PRS or PSR. I can't remember. I get confused because I have a PRS, a Paul Reed Smith guitar behind me. So then I'm like, is it PRS or is it PSR? I can't remember, but he does a lot of 3D printed stuff that's really cool. So I was happy to get a picture with him there. And also happy to see. Oh, I need to bring that back over on the other screen so you all can see it. I think, sorry about that. I was on the wrong screen for a moment. But yeah, there he goes with the black mask. I felt for him wearing that black mask. It was 80 something degrees out, very hot, and not the greatest time to be wearing a black ski mask. But that's his thing because he kind of pushes some boundaries a little bit with his videos. There we go. Jose Juan was really enjoying shooting anything in 22. And of course, that's what he's doing here in this one. But I wanted to show, it was back a couple here, wasn't it? Where we had the, boy, it was back further than I thought. All right. Let me close this. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. I got to give credit to Anderson Manufacturing. People made fun of them, called them the poverty ponies for quite some time. And I love how they've stepped up and owned it and said, you know what? You can't make fun of us if we say it ourselves. And yeah, I got to respect a brand that's willing to make fun of themselves when it's appropriate. I'm also going to have some shorts that get posted soon with all sorts of different Cerakoted stuff. And I'll be honest with you, King of Camo, Nate, super guy, really like him. I'm not a fan of guns that look like toys, but if you appreciate the skill of an artist, applying these coatings and in a really cool way, he does a lot of cool stuff. So we're going to have some of those up and posted, as well as I talked to more 3D printed gun people. And at some point, we're going to make some time to do some more 3D printed guns. And this one right here is high on the list. That's a takedown where the barrel is up here and you see those threads. It's just kind of clipped in place. It's just a little friction thing holding it in. So you just pull it apart and then screw this part in down here, and now you got a little 22 caliber. And it as it was when I was shooting it, you had to drop a new round in and slide it in. Let's see. After some in development for years now, what do you think is the next for guns? Boy, I don't know. I honestly, I do. So what I think is next is already happening. It's on the screen here. I think the ability for people to make more complex firearms without having a huge barrier of skill and knowledge and machining ability. I think that's really what's coming, because something like this, I believe you can buy a couple of the parts in a kit. I want to say they said it was like $69 for the parts kit, and then you 3D print the rest of it. And you don't have to have like a machine shop to put it together. So honestly, I think that has a lot to do with what's next for guns, is the ability for the consumer who is not an engineer, not a machinist, to be able to make more reliable, more accurate, more functional firearms for relatively cheap, even. Like, what do they call it? The democratization of firearms. I really think that's the next big thing in firearms, from what I think here. All right, we got more pictures here. There's Kyle from Anderson Manufacturing and Jose Juan from GearReport in the middle, and Flying Rich over there on the right. Let's see. What else do I want to share with you guys? A lot of these videos are going to be posted. I don't want to blow through too much of them. This was something kind of neat, though, that I'll share with you if we can get this to open up. And there were a couple false starts on this. You may be able to tell this cloud of smoke up there is blue. That was a gender reveal. That they had a couple up there that wanted to do their gender reveal right at the lunch break there at the range day. So it was a binary target with the blue powder in it. So when it exploded, we saw that they're going to have a boy, because I think that they were pretty committed to, no, we will tell the child what their gender is. We're not going to let the kid decide what they think their gender is. We're going to define it based on, biology. So, and we saw this along the highway. It looks like it's not moving. I'm pretty sure we were in kind of stop and roll traffic, and it may have actually been stopped. It may have been just rolling real slow, but I'm looking at the tires. There's no blur on the tires. So yeah, G-Webs says sweet. G-Webs appreciates big white vans. It doesn't say free candy on the side, so I know that's a little disappointing, or free ammo for that matter. But this was, I want to say this was probably in South Carolina, probably about halfway through South Carolina, but I don't know. Maybe it was closer to Charlotte or Western North Carolina. I don't really remember, but it looks like it's set up for overlanding, four-wheel drive van that's kind of jacked up and has that kind of 70s look. I thought that was pretty cool. And you can see the guy in front of him is clearly making off with a couple of ATMs. So, not what you expect to see on the interstate always, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it works for Wells Fargo, but I think it makes a better story if we say he's making off with them. But check that van out. Is that cool or what? Keep on vanning. Yep. And they got their I think that's actually a propane tank, but most overlanders have something they hang back there called a trasharoo. That's kind of funny. I think that they do that. The trash bag that mounts on the back. So anyhow, yeah, so the Iraq Veteran Range Day. Oh, where was that picture? I had one I was thinking about sharing that I pasted in a chat earlier. I wonder if I can find that, because, well, I'll tell you what I liked about this picture, is I thought it was a really clear illustration of exactly uh, how much uh, the Iraq Veteran Range Day has shrank, whatever, in the last couple years. It was a big event for years. So here's an overhead shot from a drone, and let's see if we can make this bigger so we can see it. I think that's about as big as it's going to get. You can see we have one tent where the vendors are set up on the firing line, and then a little tiny micro section down here. So it's about 1.25 rows. The white over here, these are just the dining tents. They had tables and chairs where we could go hang out, no vendors under there. This white one over on the right side of the picture is merchandise and check-in, and that's like the Iraq Veteran 8888 headquarters shelter, the administrative stuff. So the only thing with vendors was back here by the firing line. In past years, there have been 3.5, maybe even 4 rows. I don't think I've ever seen 4 full rows. I think I've seen like 3.75 rows. This was literally like a half to a third of the number of vendors that I'm used to seeing at this event. And that blew my mind. It really, I'm going to call it a third. But seriously, look at this picture. Maybe it's half, but I'm going to be generous and call it a third. And I'm going to say probably half to a third of the media that we would typically see at this event as well. And it was kind of surprising to me, to be completely honest. So G Webs asks, let me go back to that. My drone, no, I don't have a drone like that. I'd like one, but I would get too obsessive about it, and it would interfere with other things I'm trying to do. So I have chosen not to get a drone like that. And at some point I probably will, but at this point I haven't. Okay, so I've got the blank desktop. My desktop is screensaver, is a bunch of guitars. So let me get that off of there. It's the wall behind me, actually. But I think we're going to roll into everyone's favorite segment. I know Gunsnob was here for a while, and he loves Guitar Mageddon, so I apologize I took so long to get to it. But we'll go kind of quick on this. But this guitar's got something neat about it that I want to show you. They call it a gold top, and this is a metallic, little tiny metallic flecks, not glitter, but way smaller, like little metallic flecks in gold with two humbuckers, and it's set up like a Les Paul, but you'll notice instead of having two volumes and two tones, it has a volume, a tone, and then a separate one with the little switch. This is called the Sustainer, and this neck pickup has some electronics in it that they say it excites the strings. And what that means is if you pick a string and get it vibrating, and then you flip this little switch on while it's plugged in, some electronics in here are going to make the string keep vibrating. So that's what they call sustain, is when a note just keeps going. It has electronics, and in the back under here is a little 9-volt battery. So that is actually powering this little electronic device in these pickups that makes the string keep vibrating. So it'll keep making sound. It'll just keep going and going. And that's really interesting and really neat. And this was made in Korea in the year 2000. And it is very close to the specs of a Gibson Les Paul at a fraction of the price. The company is called Bernie. And the funny thing is, you may have noticed it looks like the Les Paul symbol here, but it actually says super grade. And they made the S look like an L for Les Paul, and then the P for the Paul. For the G, they've kind of looped it over to kind of make it look like a P. So from a distance, you might think that says Gibson Les Paul, but it actually says Bernie super grade. So that is Guitar Mageddon for this week, showing you the Korean import guitar. Bernie used to made their guitars in Japan, and this was, I think, one of the first years that they started making them in Korea. I'd have preferred to get the Japanese one, but it's got the vintage bridge that screws right into the wood instead of an insert. It's got the wrap on the tailpiece. Like this is a fairly premium instrument at a really budget price. These are pretty well known to be somewhat of a steal. So I traded a Chipson, the light blue Chipson Firebird guitar that you may have seen before. I traded it for that, and I think both of us were happy. And now I'm going to show you something. Since we're talking about music, we're going to get off Guitar Mageddon. I'm going to show you a product that I'm going to have some fun with here. Halloween is coming, and look at this. This is like a Mayan skull is what it looks like. It's got a little thing back here, and you look up from the bottom. It's not a pipe. It kind of looks like it could be a pipe. It's not. It's a whistle. And they say, I don't want to scare the rest of people in the house. I'm going to do this real quick, though. Sounds like someone screaming. So what they say is sneak up behind someone and then and it sounds like someone screaming right behind them. So from Archaeology is the company. Really interesting little, I think it may be ceramic or clay or something. Got a little weight to it. I wouldn't want to drop it. I'd be afraid it would break, but it sounds like a demon screaming. So that makes me happy. I kind of like that. All right. Let's see. I think we have covered everything we needed to tonight. So I'm going to thank G-Webs and the Gun Snob and Kevin for showing up for the time he did. I'd like to give a big virtual high five to Jose Juan for going to the Iraq Veteran event with me last weekend, to Flying Rich, who we saw there, Kyle with Anderson Manufacturing, Jay, who we stayed with, and his wife Katrina and their kids, super people. Kevin from Cellmark and Rebecca, we got to hang out with them, the Sightmark, Pulsar type people. Lots and lots of cool people. Thanks to Eric for putting that event on. Thanks everyone for joining us. We're going to be back next week, Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. As always, powered by Sylvan Arms. Until then, we'll see you at the range.